The sun shines on Silverstone here on BARC TV 2021, and we're ready for our first race of the day, the Pultec Classic Race Engines Pre66 touring cars. Lining up on the grid then, the front row, number 71 of Peter Smith in his Lotus Cortina, alongside Alan Greenall in his Ford Falcon. Second row, Ollie Attard, Lotus Cortina, Pete Holford in his Ford Mustang. Third row, the first of the minis, that's Barry Syme alongside Roger Stanford in his Lotus Cortina. Harvey Death in his Mini alongside David Hall in another Cortina on row 4. Then the fifth row, Michael Sheraton, the first of the Ford Anglias, alongside Piers Grange in his Ford Mustang. On the sixth row, we have Kevin Bottomley in his Mini alongside John McGurk in another Cortina. Another Lotus Cortina of Patrick Keneally lines up alongside James Everard. He's in an Alfa Romeo Sprint GT. On row 8, Nathan Williams and James Iverson, Mini alongside Hillman Imp. And on the ninth row, Alex Williams, Ford Anglia, and Robin Slater's similar machine alongside him. Grid fixed by a qualifying session, which you hopefully caught on our live coverage earlier this morning. Huge field of classic touring cars. This one, a total of 36 cars we should see out there. The second half of the grid, Martin Reynolds in his Ford Anglia, number 27, is on row 10, alongside Roger Ebden in his Mini. Eric Walker and Neil Bray, Anglia and Mini, next on the grid. Then we've got Pete Winston in his Anglia, James Burrows in another Mini on row 12. Freddie Brown's Hillman Imp alongside Kevin Swan in his Anglia. Brian Bedford in an Austin A40 starts alongside Michael Loveland's Hillman Imp. Tony Palmer is next on the grid, Lotus Cortina alongside Luke Wilson, Austin A40. Patrick Harris, the reigning champion, in his Morris Minor, starts alongside James Gibbons, number 164, with his Alfa Romeo Giulia. Keith Wright in his Morris Minor alongside Andy Mesham, a long way down the grid by his standards, with his Mini. And the last row of the grid, John Storer with his Lancia Fulvia Berliner Saloon, and Gary Fletcher with his Ford Anglia. We didn't see him out in qualifying, so hopefully he has made the grid. Well, here they come then up to the grid with Peter Smith at number 71, pole position, the man from North Yorkshire with his Lotus Cortina. Alan Greenall, the reigning Class A champion, will start alongside him in the big Ford Falcon. Second row of the grid, there is Ollie Attard, newcomer to the classic touring car scene this year with the Lotus Cortina in the classic white with the green stripe livery. And alongside him, Pete Holford, long-time Ford Mustang racer in the yellow car. First in the minis is Scotsman Barry Syme. That's the blue car alongside the British Racing green and yellow Cortina of former BMW star Roger Stanford. And then we've got the second of the minis, Harvey Death, in the light blue car, number 182. Starting alongside another Lotus Cortina, that's David Hall. He's been Lotus Cortina class champion, if I remember rightly, in this series last year. A few years ago, I should say. The classes quickly explained. Class A is the big V8s, the Mustangs and the Falcon. We can see another Mustang back there, that's Piers Grange with the red car. Class C, Minis and Anglias, plus a couple of Alfa Romeos. Class D is the Morris Minors and Austin A40s further back on the grid. Class E is the three Hillman Imps, and Class F is reserved for the Lotus Cortinas. Lining up towards the back there, number 1, the reigning overall champion, that is Patrick Harris. See the Alfa Romeo Giulia down there, the TI of James Gibbons. 76 Neil Bray in the red Mini moving into position there. He's found success in a Ford Capri as well. Andy Mesham on the left there, Mini veteran in number 5. Watch for him coming through from towards the back of the grid. Pole position, of course, on the left of the circuit here at Silverstone. So the last couple of cars moving into position at the back of the field. We may be missing one or two just towards the back there. Maybe one or two cars have problems in qualifying. This is the Pre66 touring cars, the oldest cars we will see here this weekend. Sponsored by Pultec Classic Race Engines. Last couple of cars just being sorted out there at the back of the field. The marshals clearing the grid. The green flag is waved at the back of the grid. It's time to go racing here on the Silverstone International Circuit here on BARC TV. And We are about to get underway. Off they go with race number 1 of the weekend. Roger Stanford gets away well with the Lotus Cortina. Who's going to be leading as they head into Abbey Corner for the first time? It should be Alan Greenall in the big V8 engine Ford Falcon, but no, Peter Smith holds it around the outside. 41 of Ollie Attard is there on the outside. Roger Stanford up into 4th position. He's out-dragged Peter Holford. Not the best of starts by Barry Syme in the Mini. He has dropped away. We'll wait to see as they sort themselves out who's going to come through in the lead for the first time as they head up towards Beckett's, then round to the right and onto the Hanger Straight. It's Alan Greenall in the big Ford Falcon, slides his way through Beckett's, leads the way ahead of Pete Smith and Ollie Attard. They charge their way onto the Hanger Straight, and here the power will tell for Alan Greenall. The V8 engine Class A car pulls away from the Cortina and Mini hordes behind. Look at Michael Sheraton up there in the Anglia as well. He's having a go at Pete Holford in the Ford Mustang, going for the inside into the daunting Stowe corner. Harvey Death in there as well in the Mini. It's brilliant field. I think this is the biggest ever field that the Pultec Pre66 category has had. 22 Michael Loveland there side by side with Alex Williams as they come into the left-hander at Vale, then the long right of Club Corner. Watch for the Falcon hanging the tail out there as they slide their way through. This is great stuff so far from the Pultec Pre66 Classic Touring Cars, promoted by the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. Over the line they come. Alan Greenall has the lead ahead of Pete Smith. Ollie Attard is in 3rd place. Barry Symes dropped back a bit in his Mini, didn't make the best of starts. There's Michael Sheraton in his Ford Anglia, chased by Pete Holford in the yellow Mustang. Settling in, starting to sort themselves out. There's Barry Syme just behind Pete Holford there, the blue Mini. Behind him is the Alfa Romeo of James Everard, the orange car. But through the complex up towards the right-hander at Beckett's onto the Hanger Straight. Greenall from Smith, Attard, Stanford, then it's Death, Sheraton, Holford sideways, as is Everard. This is what we've come to see. Now, where is Andy Mesham up to? He's one to watch further back. He's made up a couple of places so far. Wonderful variety, the brutal V8s, the Mustangs and the Falcons, and the more nimble Cortinas, Minis and Ford Anglias. There's Robin Slater's Anglia, making it past the leading Hillman Imp there of James Ibbotson, the dark blue number 22. Number 87 rather, 22 is Michael Loveland, I apologise. 128 there, that's Pete Winstone, ex-short oval hot rod racer in his Anglia. Hanging the tail out as they come through Club Corner. There's Harvey Death, Mini racing veteran. Over the line they come with 12 minutes to go in this 15-minute race to complete their second lap. Greenall has the lead, chased by Pete Smith. Ollie Attard in 3rd place. Smith leading Class F, Greenall Class A. Harvey Death's Mini leads Class C. He's under problems there for one of the Minis being pushed back there in the background. We'll try and identify who that is out of the race. I think that might be James Burrows, number 17, that we've lost there in the background. Somebody running wide. That's another of the Minis. That's Andy Mesham. It's got to be Andy Mesham driving that far wide. He's on the attack. Only way he knows how to drive. Greenall still leads them from the trio of Lotus Cortinas behind. Smith, Attard and Roger Stanford. 5th behind them, Harvey Death in his Mini. Then we've got Michael Sheraton going great guns there. It is James Burrows that has pulled up in the number 17 Mini. He's out of the race. He's plagued by problems with that Mini, if I remember rightly, last season as well. Harvey Death's dropped back a little as well. He's behind Barry Syme and James Everard, so he's lost a couple of places there. Through the club complex, here comes Alan Greenall to complete lap number 3. Pete Smith under pressure for the class lead and 2nd overall from Ollie Attard. Attard wide over the curbs there, out of club onto the Lewis Hamilton straight. Roger Stanford's dropped back a few lengths then. Then we've got Pete Holford in the Mustang, chased by Michael Sheraton. He's well up in his Anglia. See the number plates on that car. That is a road legal car as well. James Everard, Barry Syme back ahead of Harvey Death, who's dropped back. He's lost the lead of Class C as well. It's now Michael Sheraton leading that class in the Anglia. Further back in the order, Class E is being led. Class D is being led by Brian Bedford in his Austin A40. Class E by the imp of James Ibbotson. Bit of a lock up there from one of the Minis coming into Beckett's. Pete Holford hanging the tail out in the Mustang. This is brilliant stuff. Pete Smith started from pole, but was out-dragged off the line by Alan Greenall. The power of the V8 Ford Falcon telling. There's more V8 brute power. Pete Holford, long-time Ford Mustang racer. There's number 99, that's John Storer, the rare Lancia Fulvia Berliner Saloon. He's going to be lapped by our race leader. We'll get the blue flag from our excellent marshalling team here at Silverstone. Look at Roger Stanford throwing that Cortina sideways, and the Falcon as well sideways there. John Storer just lets the leaders by on the home straight. Now is Holford going to be able to catch up in the Mustang? The lead gap 1.5 seconds that time through. But Pete Smith has just done the fastest lap of the race. We've got somebody off there, and Ollie Attard ran wide in avoidance. Now, who was that going off there? That was Greenall. The leader has spun coming out of Abbey. Greenall is down to around 5th position. So the Cortina battle is now for the lead. There is Greenall. He had a spin there coming out of Abbey. I don't know whether the back marker got in the way, but Greenall is down to, I think, 5th position behind the Cortinas and Pete Holford. And a big lock up there from Ollie Attard. He runs wide, loses a bit of ground to our race leader, Pete Smith. Look at Alan Greenall there, completely sideways as he tries to recover. He's angry, he's frustrated with himself, trying to recover. Pete Smith leads the way in the Cortina. Second is the similarly livery car of Ollie Attard. There is Alan Greenall. Hopefully we can see a replay of what happened there to Alan Greenall. Yes, just gyrated there. You saw him there briefly coming through Abbey. The car just got away from him. We've got a slowing Cortina on the home straight. Who is that? I think that might be Tony Palmer, number 2. There's some of the midfield runners. That's the number 13 car of John McGurk. Here come your leaders, Pete Smith and Alan Greenall. Just under 8 minutes to go, so we're coming up towards half distance in this CTCRC Pultec Classic Race Engines Pre66 Touring Cars Season Open. Pete Holford under pressure from the recovering Alan Greenall. The white flag there meaning a slow car on the circuit. That's that Cortina that's pulling over. There go the leaders up towards Beckett's corner. Roger Stanford still in third. Greenall at the inside takes Pete Holford for 4th position. He's on the recovery drive. There's James Everard. He's got ahead of Michael Sheraton. It's Barry Syme, Harvey Death next through Piers Grange. He's under pressure from one of the Cortinas. I think that's Patrick Keneally possibly getting through there. No, it's not David Hall, sorry, in that Cortina. Look at the Mustang there, sideways onto the hanger straight. This is great stuff. This is what we've come to see from the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. Oh, we've got a tangle there. Tony Palmer and the 128, which is Pete Winstone. His Anglia's gone. Somebody else has a lock up there into Stowe corner. Michael Sheraton trying to hold off Barry Syme. That's for 2nd place in class. These Cortinas really throwing it around as they fight for the lead through Vale. There's a replay. Oh dear, Pete Winstone went off and he's hit Tony Palmer's car that had just parked up. That's unlucky for Tony. He just parked up with a problem. We saw him slowing and Pete Winstone slid off and crashed into him. Here come your leaders. Down into Abbey once again. Pete Smith from Ollie Attard. Now, has Ollie Attard pushed too hard? Are his tyres going off? He's lost a bit of ground there. They're coming up to lap Keith Wright in the Morris Minor. Third is Roger Stanford. Greenall still 4th, having lost the lead with that spin earlier on. Look at those tortured tyres as he locks up into Beckett's. Into Farm Corner, I should say. This is Beckett's. And the leader under intense pressure now as they come up on the back marker, which is Keith Wright in the Morris Minor. Pete Holford throws the Mustang sideways. James Everard currently leading Class C in the Alfa Romeo in 6th overall. Then we've got Michael Sheraton, Barry Syme, Harvey Death and David Hall rounding out the top 10. Down to Stowe corner. Pete Smith, Ollie Attard, and now Alan Greenall has caught Roger Stanford. You can see the class standings there on the right-hand side of your screen. Pete Smith leading Class F and overall. Alan Greenall leads Class A. Class C by James Everard. Class E for the Hillman Imps is James Ibbotson, and Class D by Brian Bedford in the Austin A40. Leaders coming up to lap the Alfa Romeo Giulia of James Gibbons, the grey car there. 5 minutes of the race to go as they cross the line. Pete Smith has still got the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 22.767. Look at this battle coming over the line. That's Sheraton in the Anglia, chased by the minis of Syme and Harvey Death. David Hall next through in his Cortina. Then we've got Piers Grange, the reigning Blue Oval Saloon Series champion. That was in a Mark II Escort. Next phalanx of cars across the line. Kevin Bottomley in his Mini, heading that group. Here are the leaders. Pete Smith from Ollie Attard. Another big lock-up by Alan Greenall. He's really pushing hard. He wants to get onto the back of that group of 3 Cortinas. Look at James Everard throwing the Alfa Romeo sideways there. Spectacular driving. He's loving this. He's leading Class C. Don't think he took a Class win last year. Just looking back at my points chart. No, he did have a couple. Third in the Class C points last year. It was Nathan Williams in the Mini that took the Class C title last year. Patrick Harris was the overall champion. Harris currently second in class. There's Harvey Death in the Mini, chasing Barry Syme. And at Vale and into Club, through goes Alan Greenall. He's got past Roger Stanford now. And their battling is drawing Pete Holford onto the back of them. There's the yellow Mustang. So we've got 2 Cortinas going for the lead. And here comes Pete Holford. He should use the Mustang's power here to draw alongside Roger Stanford. He's going to go through, take 4th place. And he's chasing Alan Greenall to try and get his class lead back. That's the battle for the lead in Class A. Stanford down to 5th. The lead gap is opening up a little. I'm wondering if Ollie Attard has pushed a little too hard, as is Alan Greenall. You can see the tyre smoke there. I wonder if Ollie Attard has shot his tyres and is starting to drop back. His last lap time was about half a second off Pete Smith. There's the battle of the minis up the inside, trying to take Michael Sheraton in the Anglia there. There's 99 of John Storer. Rare Lancia. Leaders lapping him for a second time. There's Piers Grange in the Mustang. A bit different to his modified Mark II Escort, but he's won any number of Blue Oval Saloon races, with the Blue Oval Saloons race tomorrow. He's right in the Morris Minor. There's Kevin Bottomley in the Mini, chased by Nathan Williams. And Robin Slater in the Blue Anglia there. Very close indeed, all the way down the midfield. Alex Williams with his Ford Anglia. Now where's Andy Mesham got up to? Hasn't made as much progress as I thought he would. He's down in 23rd. 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes of the race to go. The lead gap is up to 2 seconds now between Smith and Attard. There is Nathan Williams in his Mini. He was second in the championship last year and won Class C. And there is the reigning Class E champion, Freddie Brown, in the Hillman Imp. Reigning overall champion in the Maroon Minor, that's Patrick Harris, battling it out with number 22 Michael Loveland with his rear-engined Hillman Imp. And they're about to be lapped by the 2 leading Cortinas of Smith and Attard. Greenall still in 3rd place ahead of Pete Holford. So these two having their own fight here, Harris and Michael Loveland. This is for 27th overall. 1 minute 20 seconds to go. So this should be last lap this time for Peter Smith in his beautiful Lotus Cortina, the original homologation saloon, of course, the Lotus Cortina. First saloon to be created for racing by Lotus genius Colin Chapman, working with the Ford Motor Company. In the period we saw the likes of Jack Sears and the great Jim Clark race these machines. Over the line they come to start what will be their final lap. Pete Smith and Ollie Attard. I don't think there's anything Ollie Attard can do from here, but behind, Pete Holford at the inside. He's going to try and take 3rd, and more significantly, the lead of Class A. Greenall breaks as late as he dares. Mind that Hillman Imp. Michael Loveland ahead of them. He's going to have to get out of the way here. He does get out of the way. Greenall holds 3rd and holds his class lead over Pete Holford in the Mustang. Roger Stanford with the headlights ablaze behind him. James Everard in the Alfa Romeo still leads Class C. There's Brian Bedford in the Austin A40 being lapped. Marshall's waving the blue flags to tell the back markers the leaders are coming through. Oh, Pete Holford's losing the Mustang. Round he goes. What a shame for Pete Holford. 4th place gone. Just pushed a little bit too hard there, Pete Holford. I hope he hasn't hit anything. Hopefully he'll be able to recover. But it should be checkered flag this time. Pete Smith from North Yorkshire. As Pete Holford got going again, couldn't quite see in the background there. There's Brian Bedford. He's heading for a class win in the Austin A40. Waiting for our leaders to come through. Here they come. Into the left-hander at Vale for the last time. I don't think Ollie Attard's going to be able to do anything from here. It's going to be Pete Smith if he just gets round Club Corner for the final time. And our first winner on BARC TV this season is going to be Peter Smith in the Lotus Cortina. There's the checkered flag. Smith wins it. Ollie Attard second. Alan Greenall comes in third in the Ford Falcon to win Class A, and Roger Stanford fourth. Great drive by Pete Smith, the pole sitter for this race. Lost the lead early on to Alan Greenall, but a quick spin dropped Alan down a few places. And there are our provisional class winners. Smith takes Class F, Greenall Class A after that late spin for Pete Holford. Bad luck to him. He did get going again and finished 7th, I can tell you. Class C goes to James Everard in the Alfa Romeo. Well done to him. Class E to James Ibbotson in his Hillman Imp. And Class D to Brian Bedford in the Austin A40. A very pleased Pete Smith heads round on his slowing down lap. Good to see there. No damage to Pete Holford in the Mustang following his last lap spin. Just pushed a bit too hard coming onto the hanger straight and the back end came around. A few slightly different class winners as well. Patrick Harris, the reigning champion, beaten by Brian Bedford in Class D. We normally see Freddie Brown on top in Class E, but this time it was James Ibbotson with his Hillman Imp. And also Class C, not won by... Oh, late problem there we saw for Michael Sheraton. Yep, there's the Anglia. Now, did he get to the finish? Let's have a look down the timing screen. Yes, he made it to the finish in 9th place, so the Anglia had a problem on the last lap, unfortunately. Check out the results of that race in just a few moments' time. As the result confirmed then, Pete Smith the winner by 1.5 seconds ahead of Ollie Attard in the Lotus Cortina 1-2. Alan Greenall third and wins Class A in the Ford Falcon. Roger Stanford takes 4th ahead of James Everard. Well done to him, taking 5th and Class C. 6th place going to Barry Syme, the first of the minis. Pete Holford recovering from that late spin to take 7th ahead of Harvey Death. Michael Sheraton in the Anglia, despite a last lap problem, takes 9th. And David Hall rounding up the top 10 in his Lotus Cortina. Piers Grange dropping to 11th in the Mustang ahead of Kevin Bottomley, Robin Slater, John McGurk and Nathan Williams in his reigning Class C title holding Mini, taking 15th place. Rest of the result, Pat Keneally next home in the Lotus Cortina, then Roger Ebden with his Mini, James Ibbotson a class winning 18th in the Hillman Imp ahead of Neil Bray's Mini, Martin Reynolds, then Alex Williams, Andy Mesham from the back of the grid, and Kevin Swan in his Ford Anglia. Ez Walker's Anglia was next home, then Freddie Brown, Brian Bedford, Michael Loveland, Patrick Harris, James Gibbons and Keith Wright in his Morris Minor, rounding out the top 30. The other finisher in that race was John Storer in the Lancia Fulvia, and we lost Pete Winstone, Tony Palmer, Luke Wilson and James Burrows. Meantime, we'll home down to Steve Jameson in the pits.
Yeah, big congratulations to our overall race winner. That was some drive out there. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, really good. Yeah, really good. I'd say it's first time on this track racing, so you know, it was was quite nervous at the start because I wasn't sure how the start would go, how it would go on, and you've obviously watched all the Formula 1 drivers, so I tried to move over on that big Falcon, but it looked a bit big to me, so I had to let him go. But I think it was pulling him back actually, and then obviously he spun. So yeah, no, it's good. The car was good. I enjoyed it, and I didn't make a fool of myself. And you know, for a 71-year-old, that ain't bad, is it?
It's an amazing thing when you say it's the first time you've ever raced on this track and you get a race win.
I watched my son race, but I've never ever raced on this track. No.
So what a special weekend it is for you then, not just the first weekend back of the season, sun shining at Silverstone, but your first ever race here, and then you pick up the overall race win as well. What does that mean to you?
It was a bit of a surprise, so I'm very happy, yeah.
And what does the rest of the afternoon hold in store? Because that's some tough act to follow now.
Yeah, it might be more difficult, but I've got one in the pot, so, and it's one for the rally boys. This is for the rally boys who might be watching. Circuit racing is pretty good.
And tell us, just before we let you go, a little bit about this car. Every car like this has a story. What's this one?
Well, this car, the running gear and everything else, it started off racing with my rally car, and then bit by bit we added bits and pieces to it, bit by bit, and then we decided, because it couldn't become an FIA car because of various modifications on the bodywork, we got a shell from Richard Dutton at Forte Motorsport, who's been very, very helpful, and Alan Henderson. And they've helped me and Andy. Well, Andy's done most of the work. Build it up into a good car, a Neil Brown engine. So.
Yeah, it's certainly done the trick for you this afternoon. Hey.
Yeah, anyway, very good.
Well, big congratulations. Okay. Enjoy the win and best of luck for later on.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Back to you, Dave.
Bye.
Well, congratulations there to Peter Smith, switching from rallying to racing. As he told us there, that explains the sideways driving style. Taking the number 71 Lotus Cortina to the first victory of the season. Let's take a look at the rest of the schedule for today. We are now going into our lunch break, but after lunch we will have the Shell Oil's Pre-83 touring cars along with the Jaguar Enthusiast Club Saloon and GT Championship. That's a 15-minute race. Then it's the first of our Brick Car Endurance Championship races over 1 hour with mandatory pit stops. The Dunlop Mini Miglia Challenge has their 20-minute race, followed by the second race for the cars that we have just seen, the Pre66 Classic Touring cars. The Mini 7 Challenge will be next up after that, then the Pre-83s and the Jaguars for their second race, and we close out today with the Brick Car Endurance Championship. More racing coming up tomorrow as well. We'll have more classic touring cars, the Classic Thunder and Blue Oval Saloon Series join us tomorrow. We'll also have coverage of the Volkswagen Racing Cup, TCR UK and Touring Car Trophy. Mixed grid of cars there as well. We're now going to head back to Steve Jameson in the Parc Ferme area. I believe he's talking to Roger Stanford.
Yeah, joined down here in Parc Ferme by Harvey Deave. Harvey, sun's shining. You've had your first race at Silverstone for the weekend. How do you feel?
Yeah, great. What a fabulous race. It was good fun. Had a real ding-dong with another Mini and Ford Anglia all the way round. And yeah, what a wonderful day and a lovely day for it.
Yeah, that midfield looked a bit packed all the way around. It looked good fun out there.
It was. It got a bit hectic and the tyres are getting hot and slippery. And yeah, really good fun.
Well, I think slippery's the word, isn't it? The amount of cars we saw going sideways there looked absolutely ludicrous.
Well, trouble is some of these old cars, they do drop a bit of oil, and that adds a bit of fun to the mix.
Yeah, sort of turn right to go left, that sort of thing around some of those corners, eh?
Yeah, definitely, and far too much steering lock on at times.
Yeah, we saw that quite a lot of tyre smoke coming up as we got further on into the race. How do you reflect on that race ultimately for yourself?
Great fun, and that's what it's all about. Enjoying yourself.
And tell us a little bit about your car as well, because we just heard from our race when every car has a story. Tell us a little bit about yours.
Yeah, we built this car 7 years ago to do to a FIA Appendix K specification to do some of the historic races, and yeah, it's a super little car and love driving it.
Well, that's what it's all about, Harvey. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you very much.